So the big question is this: how do investors like us who don't have a PhD in finance earn millions to start investing? How do we grow our bank accounts to build real savings and retirements and yet still have the time to do what we really love? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer.
Hey guys, John Wooten here with a very special episode of the Stock Market Series podcast, and I'm studying for a psychology exam here, and there was something really, really interesting that came up, and I think about it, and I think about how a lot of people think about investing in the stock market, and assets, and growing their wealth, and it's like the same application, but it's such a rudimentary, basic concept that I've been working with so long in the past, year or so, working with starting an online business and getting more people into personal finance and investing to create real savings and retirements. And it's this idea of false beliefs. So everyone has false beliefs, right? So people think, oh, the stock market's risky. Oh, there's no way to protect your wealth, right? And in reality, there's structured notes, market-backed CDs, fixed index annuities, these asset classes where you have 90% upside and 0% downside on market returns, and indices in general, they historically return 7 to 12, 13% over the course of your life in most long-term scenarios, right? Because if you look at volatility over time, it's not like nothing happens. There is consistent growth in the market. If you look at the stock market, it's just like this compounding curve that just goes up and up and up and up over time and always comes back to reach new highs, right? And we're looking at this concept in statistics the other day, and it was actually really, really interesting because they were looking at fake data, so obviously not real data, but we're looking at mean, standard deviation, boring stuff like that. And one of the examples the guy uses was the mean and deviation, the S&P daily returns and the Dow daily returns, and comparing obviously the variance based on a $100 movement. And obviously, their Dow is 20 grand and the S&P is $2 grand. So, it's going to have higher variance if you're looking at dollar amounts, which is why obviously you want to look at percent changes. But what was really, really interesting was, he had it so it was a normal distribution data, which means that most of the data was at 0%, and then there was equal data at 10%, equal data at negative 10% for percent returns, which is totally BS, because if you look at the long-term average growth of the market, it's positive, right? And it always recovers and grows. So that's one of the biggest false beliefs I see with a lot of people. And then if you look at active management, oh my God, you can crush it. You can crush the normal market returns by just mastering technical analysis. It's crazy. So when I'm looking at this video, it's about false beliefs with babies, right? And these guys are 3 or 4 years old. And what the experimenters do is they have a box of crowns, or they have a box of crowns, and then they fill it with candles, right? And they show it to the kid. There's no cutout or anything. And they say, what do you think's in this box? And they say, crowns, right? Then they open the box. They're like, oh, it's candles. And then they pull up a little doll, and the doll is Snoopy, right? And they ask the kid, what do you think Snoopy thinks is in this box? And the kid thinks Snoopy thinks there are candles in the box, because they don't have a sense of differentiation, right? They think that all people think the same, and that what they know is what everyone else knows. And there's no other truths in the universe or false beliefs in the universe. It's only what they know, and they have no sense of cognition for other people or other beings. But then what's really, really interesting is at age 5, these babies, they start to relate to other people. And then they have this same experiment on 5-year-olds, and they say that originally they thought they were crowns in this box, but then they realized that they were candles in the box. And then they pull up the little doll, Snoopy, and they say, yeah, Snoopy's going to think there are crowns in the box because he hasn't seen that there are candles in the box. So because they're now able to see from other people's perspectives, they can understand their false beliefs. And this is something that I think so many people need to overcome, right? It's all about overcoming those false beliefs. And honestly, the biggest change that ever happened in my life was when I made that first investment in the market and started to accrue assets in my life. I started to figure out whoa, I just made a lot of money, or whoa, I just lost a lot of money, so I should figure out what I'm doing here. And overcame that initial barrier to jumping into the market and starting to have real paper assets to grow my wealth. And that was such a powerful change, because I was like finally, because I was like that kid, right? It's like you look at the market, and a lot of people think it's super risky and scary, just like a box of crowns. But then they open it, and it's like candles, right? You get into the market, and it's like, whoa, you can consistently profit and do really, 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 really well. But you don't know that at the beginning. It's like thinking that the box of crowns has crowns in it versus candles in it. So the candles represent that superior world, but you have to first experience that and then understand that other people aren't going to see everything the same way you see it until you can educate them. And the best way to educate people, as shown in this experiment, is to have them go through the same epiphany process that you go through, right? And overcome those false beliefs by opening up the box of crowns and saying, wow, these are candles. It's just a really, really powerful little psychological lesson here that I think was kind of really crazy, because like, take this, right, and think, like, what are the boxes of crowns in your life that you've never opened up before? So maybe it's real estate, maybe it's business, maybe it's stock market, maybe it's cryptocurrencies, and maybe you've been looking at them on the outside and saying, well, this is just a box of crowns, but on the inside, what really awaits for you is a very, very amazing candle. And if you can just give it a little bit of a spark and light it, it'll burn and burn and burn and create a tremendous result in your life, much more than just discovering there were crowns in there. Because in all reality, that's how a lot of situations are, right? You look at it on the outside and it's like, well, obviously this makes no sense. And then you go into it on the inside and you open it up and you really start to go around and, feel with the contents of the container, right? So for assets, especially paper assets, the container would be like, the stock market, the NASDAQ, the NYSE. I tell people I trade stocks. They're like, oh, do you trade, the NASDAQ? Or do you trade the NYSE? And I'm like, dude, I just trade stocks, man. 20 cents, $25, solid 4, 5, 6% gain, and I'll filter them out for 500 grand or 500,000 shares traded. And that's what I freaking trade. Like, I care less where they come from. But a lot of people, they see these different boxes, right? And they think, okay, well, here are stocks, here are blue chip stocks, penny stocks, all these different asset classes. And they see them as boxes of crowns, but in reality, you just open them up and find that there are a very, very special subset of candles in each of those, which are 90 noon stocks. And they're like this whole box of blue candles, but then there's this one gold candle inside of the box of crowns. And to be able to get to that gold candle that's going to yield the highest return on your investment, you first have to have the balls to open up that box of crowns and say, maybe I'm not right here. Maybe there's something to think about here. That's exactly what I had to do years and years ago when I went to Google and I freaking typed in, what are stocks? I had to overcome that initial barrier. I'd heard so many stories of people that won the lottery and invested it in the stock market and lost everything. Why do you think that happened? Well, they probably didn't know what the heck they were doing and just thought it was this get-rich-quick scheme. And then they just put everything in crap penny stocks, and well, those things mess up, man. Those things mess up a lot. And then you can crush it with them too. People absolutely destroying it with penny stocks. But there's two sides on the coin, right? And you have to make sure that you know what the heck you're doing, so that you can open that box of crowns, say, wow, these are candles, light the candle with a spark, and then don't burn yourself by mastering the techniques necessary to hold the candle, necessary to manage your assets, necessary to grow your wealth. It all stems from this internal ability to just get started with the right standing. So these kids, they know what crowns are and they know what candles are before they come into this experiment. If they came into this experiment and they were 1 year old, raised in isolation, and they grow them to 3 years old, and they open up a box that says crowns on the box, they open up the box of crowns, and inside the box are candles. They're gonna think candles are crowns if they've never seen each other before. If they've never seen candles before, never seen crowns before. So it starts at getting the education of what the heck is what you're looking for here. So in assets, it might be, what are the stocks you're looking for? What are the indicators you're looking for? Key statistics, fundamentals, technical indicators, stuff like that. You have to understand that stuff and then open the box, which is the stock market, and then be able to find, the difference between crowns and candles. So you want to be able to identify, look, these are the candles, right? These are the stocks that are going to be really, really, really good. These are the 20% that are going to produce 80% of the results. And then be able to kind of ignore the crowns, which are the 80% that produce 20%, right? So you want to focus your attention, your energy on that small percentage that's going to absolutely crush it for you. And it's just a really, really powerful concept. And it all stems from this internal ability to pass the false belief test, pass the theory of mind, and to create a new world in yourself that you understand. Look, not everyone's going to be in the same position as you. I get a lot of people and they're like super skeptical. They're like, what do you do? And I'm like, dude, just trade this really, really specific system for managing assets that I've, kind of coagulated from dozens of mentors to create, this 9 to noon trading system. And it works really, really well. Just, do it. But people, it's like, there's always this skepticism of like, they don't want to open up that box and start to inspect the candles. And so you just got to overcome those false beliefs and start to accept that maybe there is a new way, or maybe there is a chance that there are crowns or actually candles in this box. And all of a sudden, you just start to change everything. And you start to realize that so many people have these false perceptions about the market. And then you overcome those false perceptions by investing, and you're on a whole nother level. Globally, you're in the top class in existence. So many people, they don't even have access to American stock markets, which is why it's so powerful to be able to trade and grow and invest and just have massive levels of success. And it all stems from overcoming these false beliefs, getting on the path, and freaking going and crushing it. Because, like, you can read as many books as you want about crowns, but unless you open up that box, you're not going to find the candles. So really, really powerful stuff here, guys. Learning from 2 and 3-year-olds this morning. And yeah, so hey, have an awesome day. Go out there, crush it. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Want more stock market secrets? If so, go get your free copy of my best-selling book, 9 to Noon. You can get your free copy plus $11,176 of unannounced bonuses it took me years to uncover completely for free at 9tonoonsecrets.com. Inside 9 to Noon, you'll find the top 38 secrets you can use to double your portfolio every 2 years and make upwards of 10% per trade daily.